Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 2 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing head glitching. This is a very common, we'll say, coding artifact in every single Call of Duty game as far back as I can think. This has to do with the game engine, so we're going to be getting a little technical today. The gameplay that you're going to be seeing in the background when I'm not using specific examples or live action footage, which we're going to get to in a little bit, is me using the LSAT on the map Aftermath, and I'm attempting to head glitch just about as hard as possible and put myself up in some annoying positions, and that's done just for example gameplay. I don't normally play like this. I don't normally camp this hard, but if we're talking about head glitching, I might as well do it. And for those of you that don't know what head glitching is, I'm going to go over it very briefly. That's how when you see somebody behind cover and only their head is coming out, but the gun is not, you somehow magically get shot and still die. That's because the bullets do not come out of the end of the gun, at least not in Black Ops 2. This is common in a lot of games, but because of the nature of the maps and the close quarters combat in Black Ops 2 and that sort of thing, it's very noticeable here, but the bullets actually are not coming out of the end of the gun. Bullets come out of players just above eye level. It's not quite at the eyes, maybe at the eyebrows, maybe at the start of the forehead somewhere. They come out up there, and depending on what angle you're looking at the player at, it can look even more skewed, because what the game is doing is it's putting your view camera, how you see the world, and your gun, because your gun is tied to your view in this particular engine, at the top of your head. So you see the world at the top of your head, which gives you a very sort of human feeling, immersive way to play in the environment, and it feels very naturally. But the downside is that the gun mechanics in this game are tied to your view, because you're looking at what you're shooting at. You notice your soldier can never look left or right. He more or less looks with the barrel of his gun. Your barrel is locked to your eyes, and therefore the bullets are locked to your eyes, even though the model is not necessarily happening. So I've got an example of that, and what I'm going to show you here is on a map with me and J-Hub. J-Hub is behind some cover. He's sniping. He's looking down the barrel of the gun. This is what I would call a low-level head glitch, like a tier 1 head glitch. It's not really even technically a glitch, as it is just good cover. There he is. He fired one shot. He's going to reload, and you can see that the gun kick's kind of funny and that the tracer is more or less following the gun, but that's not where the bullet is going. I'm going to show you where the bullet actually comes out. The path in red here is where the bullet is coming out. It's an invisible ray in this game. It doesn't have a speed. It doesn't drop. It's instantly coming out of his head. The gun path, or the visible bullet, that's where the tracer would go, or that's where the smoke would go. That's the blue path, and you can see there's a difference right there. That's why some close quarters combat situations end up really crazy when you don't think that they should be, is because of this difference. And in close quarters, it looks like they're always set apart, but the reality is if you're looking at something further away, it can be more of an angle problem. This is what I'll call a god tier head glitch. This one's in the new map Grind. J-Hub showing it to me. You can go. He could have easily killed me there, but I want to see it from his side. So I'm going to swap over to his side, and you can see his gun is sticking into the wall. And the bullet, the tracer is kind of going above the gun, but it's going to also go at his head. It's kind of crazy. But what you're seeing here is that his gun and his head are more or less pointed at the same object. However, the path of the bullet and the actual bullet, the in-game coded ray, or whatever we're going to call it, and the path that his gun takes are totally different paths, and this causes mass confusion when you're playing, because it's not possible to be shot by somebody's eyebrows. I'll show it again here from my point of view. When I get behind him, I can see him, he can't see me. He's very easy to kill. Again, this is an artifact of the engine. It's not something that can be very easily avoided.
Quick, get the code! Get the code! I can't stay on long! Go! Get it!
And the question is, why was this not taken out of the game? Why was this not repaired? Why was this not fixed? Number one is that it's so integral to the engine that it would be onerously hard to fix. It would be a big burden on the developers. And number two is that while it doesn't make sense necessarily visually along with the player models, I think it's much more a player model problem than it is an engine problem, because I believe that the way people take cover should match how a normal body takes cover. And if you're in real life and you're taking cover, you're going to be shooting at about eye level, and to demonstrate this, I'm going to show you me shooting a real gun and taking cover, and the bullets are going to be more or less eye level. For the next part of this in-depth, I thought it would be best if I did this live action, in person, and with a real gun, so that when I explain these things, it makes more sense in the context of reality. This is a real gun. This is a 20 gauge double barrel shotgun, which in my home is named Mr. Blasty. Hopefully it's something that never ever gets used on people and will be used for, hunting only. Anyway, for gun safety, you never put your finger on the bang switch. You never leave the gun loaded unless you intend to shoot it. It's unloaded, and we never point it at a person but I can point it at the camera right now because I have the camera on the stand and there's nobody behind it. My wife's not running the camera, it's just on the stand today. Just thought that was important to get out of the way first. So, Call of Duty, you got a few basic stances. You got your running stance where you run like this and the gun is kind of on the ground, and it looks weird because sometimes somebody will pop and spray. That's something for different. You have the hip fire stance, which sometimes in Call of Duty is down here for some machine guns, light machine guns. Usually hip fire looks almost like aim down sights, and this simulates real life because when you're clearing a building in real life, my understanding is, I'm not a military veteran or anything, but I do read and I try to be adept, is that you don't walk around like Call of Duty with your eye on the barrel sweeping the room. You kind of keep it at your shoulder or maybe a little bit lower down at your hip so you can see the tip, and you just line it up with whatever you want to blast. After that, we've got our prone, our crouch, and you've got the aim down sight. So this is probably hip fire for most situations. Aim down sight's not very different, it's like this. But what I want you to notice is that while I'm aiming down sight, my eyes are more or less level with the sights on the gun. That's how you actually aim down sights. You line up your sights, you point it right at the camera, and when you do that and you're taking cover, the bullets are more or less going to come out of the gun at eye level, and only this part of the head is going to be exposed. And as an example of that, I'm going to use the countertop over here to my left to show you. Now, in a Call of Duty game, the way that you will take cover, because when you aim down sights in Call of Duty, it's only kind of a halfway aim down sights. This is a COD aim down sights. The head and the gun aren't necessarily in line. In a COD game, I'm going to have to put this out of the way a little bit. My head will be down here, and the bullets will come out of my eyes and hit you, and that looks ridiculous because the gun barrel clearly is not up here with my eyes like this, how it matches with the player model. However, if I were really in a gunfight and I really wanted to take cover, what I would probably do is something right about like this, or maybe I might not lay my barrel down so much, but I would get down here right about at eye level, and that's how I would take cover against the camera. And what you'll notice is that my eyeballs are more or less level with the countertop, and that only the top part of my head and up is exposed, and very little bit of the gun. But because the way Call of Duty handles models, my gun is technically a little bit lower than it should be, so it sticks through the geometry. This is a player model problem, and not necessarily a real-life simulation problem. Because in real life, if I'm going to take cover and I'm going to move along this table, I'm going to be really, really low, and the bullets are going to come out at eye level because I'm going to be looking down at eye level at the gun. And that's just something that I wanted to clear up. So as you can see from that, either by accident or by design, the gameplay in a real gunfight, or as Call of Duty likes to pretend to be a real scenario, probably wouldn't be all that different. You could still have people showing very minimal portions of their head. If there was some sort of smart mechanic where you would mount a gun on a wall, or in DayZ perhaps the gun is tied, or the bullets are tied to the gun. Perhaps in new Call of Duty Ghosts that'll be fixed. But if you could have it to where a player moves up to a wall and then picks his gun up to properly aim down sights instead of sticking it through something, it would look a lot like me with the shotgun. Now let's talk about the tactics here. As you've probably seen in the gameplay while I jabbered a bit, head glitching can be extremely effective. This is a tactic of the pros, and Treyarch, instead of trying to design their maps to be, we'll say, realistic or normal or non-head glitch friendly, they've decided that this is such an integral part of the Call of Duty engine and that so many people have used it that they're just going to include several head glitches on each map. If you can get on YouTube and look up head glitch tutorials, map guides, I do a few of those in my map guides, but they're everywhere. But at the end of the day, head glitching is always advantageous to you. You're showing the tiniest portion of your body that is physically possible, probably less than 5%, maybe like 4%, 3%, and it's a relatively stationary part of the body that's usually a bland color, and you're not going to be noticed as long as you just sit there. It's excellent cover. It's very hard for you to be shot as long as you're covered. You know, concealment's different than cover, but either way it's good. And if you're going against a head glitch, this is the sort of downer advice that I have to give you, is that it's nearly impossible to beat a good head glitch. The portion of the other person's body that's available to shoot requires godlike accuracy on your part, so the best advice I can give you is avoid common areas with head glitches, or run like mad. If you have to go through, just sprint, don't stop, don't try to win gunfights. This is something that I do all the time. I screw up. Sometimes I'll stop and think, you know what, my aim is so good, I can definitely shoot the top of that person's forehead before they can shoot my body, and it almost never works that way. Avoid head glitches when possible. Do them when possible. I know that this is in-depth, and that might not be the most sophisticated of advice, but it is very, very effective advice, and I just wanted you to see kind of how the engine renders the bullets and the rays, and how the bullets that you see are completely different than the bullets that are actually being fired fired. That's the number one thing to take away from this video, is that the visual bullets do not match the actual bullets. That's how we get crazy kill cams, that's how we get head glitches, that's how we get a lot of things going on in this game. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope that you learned something useful. I hope you don't head glitch me too hard when you see me. If you'd like to check out the previous episode on how to mantle faster, you can check that out. If you'd like to check out the next episode, which I don't know what it's going to be yet, you're going to need to recommend it to me. That box on the right will also let you click and go to it. Recommend me something in the comments, Skype, Twitter, DM, whatever. Also, I have an app down in the App Store. It lets you build classes, and I give you feedback on them if you're interested. As always, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.